I hear the call of the stars.
G'day everyone, Duckville here. Welcome to another replay from MLG Anaheim 2011. This is going to be a Terran versus Zerg on Shakuris Plateau. You've probably noticed that the actual length of this particular video is quite long. Of course, this is actually going to be a very long one, so make sure you're sitting in a very comfortable seat. Make sure you've got a drink. If you're underage, grab a soft drink or something like that. If you're overage, grab a beer or something like that. This is going to be a lot of fun. I have not actually watched these replays just yet. I'm doing a pure cold cast of these, so we're going to try and jump around and make sure we catch everything we can see. But our players here today, as you can see here, is dignitasMerz, who's from Team Dignitas, of course, and was picked up by that team in mid to late 2010, I think. But he has been doing the rounds in the European side of StarCraft 2, and has been doing definitely a good job at that. His opponent down here in the bottom right hand side is FabledIntegral, who I have done another cast of, I've just actually realized, but he's a player from the US, goes to UCI and plays in their CSL team. Has been, obviously doing a good job in that particular team as well. So we're going to see these guys facing off across spots on Shakuris. Of course, this is the proper version, the proper ladder version of Shakuris that we are using here at MLG, and that means there's no rocks, but it also means that there is a supply depot down at the bottom of the ramp, so there's no bunker shenanigans or anything like that the Terrans used to be very fond of. But don't be surprised if we do see something reminiscent of a bunker strike from Merz, and it does look like he is going to do something like that. Doing this, it's a little bit more of a standard sort of way to actually attack a Zerg in the early game on this particular map, is to grab two racks down here at the bottom of the ramp, bottom of the first ramp, and then actually just send your Marine straight across. He is going to send this SCV along as well for the ride, and this SCV will obviously be used to try and put down a bunker and perhaps do some early damage, if not perhaps a win for Merz against Fabled's early hatchery, which he's got going here, as we can see. But Fabled's got the spawning pool going, no gas just yet. We'll see if this is going to be something reminiscent of the Spanish Ice Fisher build or something like that. I'm not particularly sure if we're going to see that, but we'll see what happens in a moment. But the SCV is now scouting out to the top right position, going to find that's the wrong one, and going to head down to the bottom, and that's where those Marines are going to be rallied out to. Yes, they are. There they go. And we'll probably see Merz striking in just a minute, and once he does get there, we'll probably see how he's going to actually go at actually putting the bunkers down. Okay, we're going to have the one down here at the bottom of the ramp. This is a really good spot because it gives you a lot less surface area across the right and the bottom side of the bunker. There's no way for the Lings or drones to put any damage in there, but a little bit of micro here from Merz to try and keep that Marine alive. He does so very well, taking out one drone, and there is one drone here with very low HP, but Fable's going to need to be very careful with how he proceeds from here. But Lings are out now. He's going to have to be very careful with them as well, because once these Marines get inside the bunker, they're going to be hard to stop, and there is a bunker now on the high ground as well. The drones are trying to have something to say about that. There is a spine crawler being built here by Fabled. He's going to get that up. I would say that may get up if he gives it a little bit of time, but lots of Lings here are being used to actually buy that spine crawler some time. If the spine crawler gets up, he should be in a perfect position for actually defending this attack, and he does take out the two SCVs that were there, so these bunkers are definitely not going to finish. Spinecrawler does finish, sells off the bunker, and cancels the second one that was being built. So good defense there by Fabled, perhaps building a bit too many, a few too many Lings for what he would rather have done. Of course, as a Zerg, you'd really want to put those into drones or something like that instead, but he has committed to quite a lot of Lings here. As we can see, there is still around about 11 Lings out on the field. They are being punished by all of these Marines, which have been microed all the way to the bank. Look at that, fantastic work by Merz there to micro those Marines around, keeps them alive. Still got 5, and he is still hanging out around the front door. He's like it's like some kid sort of hanging around the front door throwing rocks at you. He's not going to actually get in, but he is going to be quite annoying. But here's the rest of the base here from Fabled. He's doing a good job there, sticking there with the drone count. Let's have a quick look at where he's at. That's sort of the unfortunate numbers there for Fabled just at the moment. He's currently sitting even in the harvester count, 21 each, and it's just going to be sort of even for the moment in the economy stakes, which is where Zerg never wants to be, but I'm sure that Fabled is going to catch up where he should have been, probably 3 to 4 drones in front, perhaps a few more depending on how he was actually going, and we'll see how he goes with that. But interesting to see MLG actually destroying a supply depot that he incorrectly placed there, and then putting down the third racks. This is the standard part of this particular build that MLG has done there, grabbing that third racks to make sure you've got that fully walled off, and then you have some more production capability for your Marines. So he's doing a good job there, grabbing a factory as well. Let's have a look at what Fabled is up to. Getting the gas, here we go. He is up to the 40 drones or so, and he is indeed doing something reminiscent of the Ice Fisher build, it seems to be. Doesn't have speed just yet. Now, that's the one key part about doing this particular build, is that speed comes a little bit later, so you don't have as much map control. Now, as we can see from MLG, he does have both of these Xel'Naga watchtowers here, gets a lot of vision as to all over the map, gets vision of the entire center sort of path that the units can run through. So he's got good vision there, and will be able to keep an eye on what Fabled is up to. But meanwhile, he's still pumping out those SCVs, getting a second factory. In fact, we do have a tech lab here. We're probably going to see something along the lines of a tank marine push, I would assume. It is very good. You can do the same thing pretty much as what he did with that bunker attack. Set up some tanks down here. Once they're in position there, it is incredibly hard to actually stop them unless you have some really good defense prepared, being a few spine crawlers, or perhaps if there are some mutas, in fact, that can do really well against that. But we'll see what Fabled is up to. He's doing a really good job with creep spread here, spreading out this creep all ready to make sure that MLG cannot get in without being seen, and of course cannot build anything like turrets or bunkers along here, as we do see that kind of push sometimes from Terran players. But Fabled now heading out on the map with a couple of these lings, taking out the two Marines that were at the Xel'Naga watchtower, and that's going to give him the vision now of where everything is. So he's got this vision here of the all of that center path, and then he's also got a little bit of cover here at the back, which is very good to see, making sure that all paths are covered, along with a couple more overlords just hanging out, just cruising outside, just watching what's going on. And he's going to have good vision as to when the attacks come. But it looks as if we do have Blue Flame from MLG, so he's going to stick with Hellion and Marine, perhaps going to go for something along the lines of a push. No starport just yet, so it's not going to be that deathly elevator strat, which a lot of the Slayers Terrans have used at MLG. And here he comes, just running through here. Blue Flame is now done, revealing that that is prepared there, which is going to give Fabled just a little bit of time to make sure he is prepared for this imminent Hellion attack. The Marines are coming along as well. They've got combat shield, no stim just yet, so he's not going to be able to do as much DPS. But with this Hellion sort of force that's just rolling along here, he's going to be in a really good spot to take out any of the lings that are prepared. But there are lings and banelings here. We've got a whole bunch of banelings just morphing in now. In their little cocoons, they're going to pop out in just a second, and he should be well prepared for this attack. As long as he's very careful with dealing with those Hellions, he should be absolutely fine. There's no baneling speed just yet, but MLG now checking up to the third expansion, where what potentially could be the third expansion, and he's going to notice that nothing's there. Sees nothing at the potential fourth up here as well, and now it looks as if Fabled is going to head in for an attack, perhaps trying to take advantage of the fact that his opponent is all the way across the other side of the map. There are those three racks there, which is a very heavy wall to contend with, but now it looks as if Fabled's going to just run through it anyway. Here come the banelings running through there, blasting open that front door, now rolling through the rest of the army here. The lings get inside, the tanks, three tanks are sitting out the front there, all ready to roll, but they are not going to do much against those lings. SCV's trying to repair, and now the Hellions come back inside. This is going to be thwarted, but the attack has done a decent amount of damage there, taking out some tanks, taking out a few Marines as well, along with that bunker, which is going to sort of, it's not going to decimate the production capabilities of MLG, but it has certainly stopped him for the moment, and is going to stop him from actually pushing just yet. So we've got upgrades coming along from MLG as well, +1 to the infantry weapons, along with siege mode is just about done. A couple more siege tanks will probably pop out shortly, and a few racks go down. He is finally getting stim. Interestingly, the tech lab that was here has not been touched at all. I was a bit surprised to see Fabled not go for that one, but he's obviously not worrying about that too much. Terran's always going to get it eventually, but the stim is going to be on the way shortly. Meanwhile, back at Integral's base, we've got a very nice drone count. Look at all these drones that we've got here at these two bases. He's doing a fantastic job. Currently sitting at 54, just a little bit behind where MLG is, but he is getting his tech up behind all of this, and I would suspect the third base, there it is, he is going for that third base. Good timing on that to make sure that he's staying in touch in the economy, and we do have those Hellions still running around causing all sorts of havoc, but Starting to get a few too many drones on this particular patch, but of course he'll be able to transfer those across to the third base. We've got Lings and Banelings still the main force here for Fabled. He's going to be able to use those to roll through any bio armies that come along from MLG, but MLG is now controlling the center part of the map again. This has been swinging back and forth a little bit, of course, and he's going to have to be very careful with making sure that Banelings and Lings don't sneak past him, of course. If you let that happen, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. But drones finally transferring across to that third base is going to saturate this quite nicely. Perfect timing on that transfer. We can see that the hatchery will be done in just a moment here. Got to make sure you switch those drones back. Is he going to get them back into that base? No, he's not, but either way, it's a good transfer of those drones. It was pretty much perfectly timed. So now, moving out to take the third base, MLG is going to just head down here. He's just about got his stim and +1 to armor as well for the infantry units, so he's definitely in a good spot to take that third base. The general timing of the thirds, you have to be very careful and make sure it's sort of dependent on when you actually have that sort of tech to make sure you can control the area. Generally, of course, siege mode is a good thing to have, but here come the Banelings here, rolling into the mix of those SCVs. The Lings coming across now too. There's a little bit too much for Fabled to take out, but he certainly will do a lot of damage. There go the two tanks, a lot of Marines as well, but the Marines finally clean up a lot of these guys in low health, but he has deflected that for the time being, but good attack there by Fabled. Meanwhile, back here at the third base of Fabled, the drop commenced here, and this has actually been taken out, but a lot of drones have been removed here at that third base. A little bit unfortunate there for Fabled. He did take out the medevac and those Marines in time, but it was just perhaps a little bit late. Some of those drones will be unhappy with that, I'll bet. But the tech is now on the way here from Fabled. He's just about got +1 to melee weapons and armor, and they're both done now. The pathogen glands for infestors is also done, so we'll probably see some infestors started up soon once this third base gets into action. But here come the mutas just harassing off to the side. You don't want to commit too hard with these mutas, just want to cause a little bit of pressure here inside the Terran base, taking out some of these SCVs that were on some of these buildings, delaying this armory just a tiny bit, of course, really helps out with making sure that you're keeping up in the upgrades. And the mutas are now just going to sit off to the side here. Two Marines having a few shots at them, not having a good day with keeping up with the mutas, though, of course. Marines can't fly. Imagine if they could, that'd be quite scary for any particular player in StarCraft 2. But a couple of turrets have gone up in the third base here for MLG. He's making sure that he's well protected in all of the bases, of course. But look at this creep spread. This is absolutely awesome creep spread here by Fabled. He's got effectively this whole center portion of his half of the map covered now. Got cover across this potential fourth or fifth base perhaps, along with this one as well, and he's going to have an amazing vision of where his opponent is. If we just have a look from his perspective, he's got view across all of this center path of the map. Unfortunately losing one of the tumors just there, but he's going to get this one up and could proceed down the southern side of the map here. But so many tanks are out here now for MLG. He's got a lot of tank protection there for the third and the natural expansion. This third is now up and running at its full capacity. Let's have a quick look at the harvested count. We're currently sitting at 76 for MLG and currently sitting at, whoa, it just jumped up a whole heap, 65 now for Fabled, so he's going to do a good job in trying to keep up there. Now, MLG is just trying to make sure he sweeps around, keeping out those mutas, and then, of course, taking out some of these creep tumors, which is very good for making sure he's got map vision and dominance there. Some of the mutas will have something to say about that, taking out two of these Marines and a medevac as well, but then they're going to have to retreat because this whole flock of Marines is going to keep them at bay for the time being. But Banelings are rolling in greater numbers here. We got 2-2 on these Marines, of course. That means they do 43 with their splash damage when they explode in someone's face, and he's going to be doing quite a lot of damage once he rolls into a battle here. The problem he's going to have to contend with is this very decent tank count here from MLG. In fact, MLG may indeed be moving out here. Maybe just pushing across. No, he's just sort of waiting, just setting up a nice little defensive line here, making sure that he's covering both the third base up here, and then he's probably going to take some time to cover the fourth base down to the side there as well. But no, he is moving out. Mutas at the back for MLG. He's going to have to try and deal with them as soon as he can. The turrets are not in range to stop them, but some of these supply depots will go down. But the push through the middle is now commencing here from MLG. This is going to be quite difficult to stop. We'll see if Integral has the capacity to do it. Now rolling through here, all of these units are in a bit of a choke point here, blasting through all of those tanks. Look at all of that. All of those Marines going down, and even the tanks, massive attack there by Fabled, taking out every single unit. That was absolutely huge from Fabled. He's done a great job of pushing through, actually attacking when MLG was right in that little choke point there. When he sieged up the tanks, they all grouped up right next to the Marines and then just blasted through every single thing. The Muta's still up the top here, causing all sorts of havoc here on the supply depots, and now rolling in with all sorts of units here, streaming in those Lings. They are just on a Ling train across the map, as we can see here. They are just running through. They're going to just jump into the base here and try and do some more damage here, putting down a burrowed Ling to make sure that third stays inoperable for the moment. But some Marines will be able to come out here and hold position just for the moment. And if he can just fend off these Lings for the time being, he will be able to perhaps recover. And if he can do that, he will be able to get back in the race here for this particular match. But down here at the potential fourth base for MLG, he's going to have a bit of a problem here landing this one, because apparently there's a bailing under the ground which can't be stomped by this command center. A bit unfortunate for MLG there, but he's going to get this third base up and running again, it looks like. But there is a Ling there, dealt with quite easily by MLG with a quick scan. But he's still got a bit of a problem here, because now that Fabled has just jumped into the lead in terms of the economic stakes, he's just going to be in such a fantastic position there, morphing in more Banelings. We're currently sitting at 35 Banelings. There are a couple of Infestors out on the map. Here they are. They're just sitting over here, accumulating some more energy, and we'll probably see Fabled try and take a fifth base in just a short moment. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for this one pretty soon, because his fourth is up and running. It hasn't got a full saturation just yet, but it's getting there. And same with this third. In fact, he's actually spent a lot of larvae on the getting the units out that he actually needed to stop those attacks, and now of course resupplying those units right now, given that he lost all of those Banelings and then a lot of those Lings as well in the extra strike that he pushed through. But now MLG is in a decent position yet again, with those tanks actually sieged up and prepared to defend. He should be fine to fend off another attack from Fabled. But 3 factories are pumping out those tanks, along with a whole bunch of racks that are actually we've got a couple with reactors on them, and the +3 to weapons is just on the way here for MLG. He's going to have that up and running shortly. Muta's coming in, spotting this fourth base, another command center going up there, but that's going to have to be cancelled. Planetary Fortressing and a couple of turrets will hold this for the time being, but now MLG is actually moving across here, spotting those Mutas just sitting idly by, and he's going to need to try and do something pretty quickly here, MLG, because if these units sweep through to that fourth base, there's probably going to be no way he's going to be able to stop it, and there are a lot of SCVs there actually. If he loses those SCVs, he'll be in quite a detrimental position. But here we can see Fabled going for that fifth base, going to get that up and running shortly here, resupplying the drone count at this particular position here. The fourth base is now up and running quite nicely. The third as well is doing a decent job, good saturation there, not optimal, but getting there. Is of course, the one problem of being a Zerg is that you have to sort of think about making a decision whether to drone or whether to make units. And of course, if you make one or the other, it's going to affect certain parts of the game, of course. But Ultralisk Cabin is now done. +3 to melee weapons is on the way for Fabled. He's also got +3 to Carapace as well. Great Aspire coming through as well, so he's going to have the option of Broodlord soon. And we'll see if he does stick with the imminent Broodlord Infestor combo, which a lot of Zerg players do love to do, because it is very hard for Terrans to stop unless you get out a lot of Ghosts. You can use Ghosts to snipe off the Broodlords, and then of course the EMP from the Ghosts to take out the usability of the Infestors. But speaking of Infestors, good fungals there by Fabled, taking out that little patch of Marines that came through, trying to sweep out and clean up those creep tumors that were on the ground, but taken out by those 2 Infestors, which came along and had a little party. And he's now still just waiting to see what MLG is going to do. Coming in here, going to siege up these tanks, I would assume, but a whole swarm of Lings now sweeping through here, surrounding those tanks. They are probably going to take those tanks out. We've got fungals on the Marines at the back there, the couple of siege tanks up the backside as well, which are going to hold the position, but it looks as if there are just so many Infestors dropping Infested Terrans all over the place. These guys should be able to take out the tanks, but a few more tanks at the back will hold just for the time being for MLG. He's doing a really good job at holding up now, but the problem that he's got is if these the 5th and the 6th base here get up and running for Fabled is going to be absolutely a huge problem to deal with. But now with this switch, I'm assuming this switch is coming. Here it is. The Ultralisks are actually coming out. I'm a bit surprised to see them, but he is getting those Ultralisks. He does he have adrenal glands? Not just yet. No adrenal glands just yet, but we'll probably see that coming up soon from Fabled, of course. It's not as awesome as it used to be in Brood War, but it still is something which is quite required, I would think, if you're going to go for that Ling Ultra army in the late game, which we do see sometimes from the Zerg players at this high level. But a drop coming in here from MLG. He's going to try and do what he can here to this 4th base. There is there are a few spine crawlers, in fact. I was going to say there's one spine crawler here, but there's actually about 4 spine crawlers prepared to defend, poking away at those Marines. It's getting a bit ugly there for those Marines dropping out there, but they're going to have to retreat, and the mutas will definitely clean this one up. That is going to go down right about now. Here it goes. And those Marines are going to be a bit unhappy. They're jumping in to escape, but then they actually die anyway. But 6th base is now up here for Fabled. He's got that up and running. The 5th is doing nicely with its saturation there, obviously wanting to make sure he capitalizes on the gas. Do notice that the gas is much more of a priority than the minerals most of the time, of course. But now, with these 3 Ultras out, they do have +3 to weapons. They've got their fancy little +5 to armor as well, because he's got that extra armor there from the Ultralisk Cavern. And now he's going to have to think about what the next tech is here for MLG. He's just got to either switch to Ghost and really and in fact he is actually switching to Ghost right now, but +3 to the vehicle weapons is on the way here for MLG, so these tanks are going to do a lot of damage against the Ling swarms that will come through. The problem will be those Ultras. If the Ultras take all of the damage from the tanks, the Lings will be able to sweep through unfettered and actually just take out a lot of those tanks, but it's going to be very dependent on how Fabled decides to engage here. In fact, speaking of engagement, a couple of Ultras are sitting in here in these Overlords along with some extra Lings, probably going to try and come through to the 4th base of MLG down here. Now, in fact, we have starports building with reactors, so he's going to try and get some of those up and running. Now, sacrificing some SCVs to make sure he can get some more supply. Of course, this is the famous late game tactic, which was, I would say, you could say that Boxer probably started this up a little bit more to make sure that you have more supply to sacrifice some of those SCVs, but these guys weren't being sacrificed, but they are going to die anyway. But we can see that there are a lot of Ghosts here in the mix. For MLG is going to be able to snipe out some of these Ultralisks, perhaps, and but the Lings are doing a decent amount of damage back in the main base, denying that mining for the time being. But now these Marines will stim up, sweep through and clear that base, so that is now quite clear for the moment. But do notice that that Fabled would have actually seen these 3 starports. Let's actually have a quick look at if he did. Yes, he did. Saw those 3 starports. There are 3 reactors on those as well, which means that MLG is going to be well prepared to actually defend any Broodlord switch. He can just crank up those 3 starports and just say, hey buddy, I've got some Vikings now. You're not going to get anywhere with those Broodlords, but it looks as if Fabled may perhaps switch to it anyway. We'll see what he does. He is going for another drop here. We got a couple of Ultralisks in here as well. We got an Infestor or 2. No, we got some Banelings in there actually. Oh, they're the Infestors. We got a few Infestors in the mix here. These guys are going to fly across to the main base here, and perhaps just if they can come in here and snipe off some of these buildings, we'll be able to deal with some of the production capability of MLG. But now dropping in here. Here we go. Drop is now commencing. We'll see what MLG can do to defend against this. These turrets are going to have something to say about the Overlords in the sky. Some Infestors have now landed there, well prepared, but here comes the big mix from MLG. He's got this massive army just coming through here, but Fungals all over the place in important positions here. Notice that this is actually blocking the defensive units from moving through here from MLG, but he's doing a great job. He's going to clean this out eventually. These Lings have done a great amount of damage though inside the base, just sweeping through and taking out a lot of those supply depots there as well. It's not going to really massively affect MLG, but he's still going to have to be very careful about potential drops in future as well. Would love to see Fabled actually switch into that big sort of combo here, but he's doing these drops which are really doing a nice job. He's taking advantage of the fact that the Terran has to move up these very small choke points at each of the bases here to come and defend. But now, with these Lings dropping in, they do have their adrenal glands, so they're doing extra damage quite quickly. There, look at that at weapon speed, 0.59. They are attacking so many times per per little attack group that they send out. So here they come, just sweeping through here, taking out some of those Marines and the Marauders here. Now just coming through the southern part of the base here, taking out some of those SCVs as well. We'd love to see a multi-prong drop here from Fabled as well. Just waiting to see if these extra Overlords up at the 4th base actually decide to pick up some units and then attack as well. But a decent amount of Lings are waiting out here, trying to hack down those rocks there, just making sure that this base is accessible. But he is covering both of the 12 o'clock and the 6 o'clock bases here, so he's making sure that MLG is not going to be able to mine there too easily. But look at this mix here from MLG. We've got these tanks with +3 to their weapons. No armor just yet, of course. You don't really need it as much, because if the tanks are being hit, they're probably going to die pretty quickly anyway, because it's going to be Banelings or Broodlords or Lings. But now with these bio units, they do have +3/3 as well, so they're going to be doing a lot of damage once they stim up. The Ghosts will be able to use snipes, and of course the EMPs. We'll see if he is able to EMP these Infestors. If he can, that'd be great for his army, but he doesn't get to. And now these Infestors are going to use. In fact, he's got some Neuroparasite. There go that one Neuroparasite is not going to do as much as it probably could have if he had a couple more. But the siege tanks do take out those units, and now MLG is going to be able to come through here into this 6th base, I suppose it is, and he is going to be able to take this one out. Down it goes. It's not going to be too much of a problem. There wasn't really too much mining going on here just yet from Fabled, but another drop now commencing down to the southern side of the map. Here come the Lings and Banelings, in fact, rolling in with those Banelings, taking out some of those SCVs. Huge strikes there by those Banelings, and now these Lings will be free to clean up a lot of these supply depots that are just hanging around idly by, and they will go down and may, in fact, we're sort of dependent on how long MLG is going to let this go, but this could actually take down the supply limit of MLG for the time being. But he does take out some of these extra units now. Probably want to go for the starports if he can, but he's not going to be able to. These starports will be protected by the imminent bio force that comes in from MLG, and those Stim Marine Marauders will definitely be able to stop all of those leftover Lings there. Perhaps going to lose a couple of the Marines. No, he doesn't, but either way, the Lings have run away, burrowed there, and perhaps he's going to take advantage of the fact that MLG may not have been watching, because there is a battle going on here at the middle portion of the map. Ultras just running rampant through the middle here, and an attack has commenced here at the 5th base as well, and not actually getting too far because there are these few spine crawlers out to defend, and MLG does hold the middle part of the map with his tanks. He is doing a great job of holding this middle section. If he can keep that within his grasp for the time being, he will actually be in a nice position, because that means he'll be able to come through to the top section, the bottom and the top section of the map, and try and take out these extra bases. But now we've got a couple of Lings just coming back into the 4th base of MLG here, taking out some of the SCVs and trying to get rid of that orbital command. But one Ling is not going to be able to, 2 Lings are not going to be able to do that, I can tell you what. But now with this extra base down here at the side, this is interesting because it's a little bit harder for Fabled to actually defend this particular base. And we'll see if he is actually able to do that. The problem that he has is that he's got effectively the version of what MLG has been dealing with, just this small ramp to run these Lings and the Ultras up into this base to defend it if need be. But down here at the what was that? That was the 3rd base of MLG. He's actually going to lose this orbital command, I would say, because these infested Terrans are doing a huge amount of damage. They don't actually have any upgrades to the ranged weapons of the Zerg, but he should be able to take this out. In fact, maybe not, because there are now 4 hero SCVs repairing that one. There are in fact medevacs healing them as well. Quite interesting to see that little combination. But now up at the top side, we've got Fabled dropping in with some more Lings here. He's doing an amazing job with dropping all of these units in here. Probably want to go for those extra supply depots there, which would be really good to take out some of the supply. In fact, now MLG is into the red, just losing these supply depots. It's an interesting little battle that he's just continually losing these, and it is starting to have a small effect here. He's going to need to rebuild those supply depots, of course. Won't lose too much else, but the Overlords will pick up some of their little babies and will get away for the time being. But now let's have a look at the mining situation for Fabled. This the 4th base is almost done. The 3rd up here is definitely done, and of course the main and the natural are also done. Now the mining bases for Fabled are this one here, the 6th base. The 5th base going to need some more saturation here, and of course this 7th base down in the southern side of the map. But now he is running through here. Look at all of these Ultralists. We've got a total of I think that's around about 10 Ultralists just running through the map here, picking up all sorts of units and smashing through them with those massive elephant tusks they have. now just deciding to go down here to this particular base. Will be stopped by the planetary fortress, I would assume, or perhaps MLG is not ready to defend that one or repair that one. He's not going to. In fact, the planetary goes down. These units are actually really low in health. These medevacs have no energy at all. So brilliant job just running through the middle there. A Ling is just burrowed here, just quite a bit annoying there for MLG. Has to use a scan to pick up that one Ling. And now Fabled is going to be in a really nice spot here. If he can actually just resupply some of these units and then try and take out this particular base, he will be in a fantastic spot here. The bank's currently sitting actually not too high for both of these players here. MLG is currently sitting on around about 1,000 minerals and about 4k gas, but and we've got a little bit lower here for Fabled. He's currently sitting at around about 300 minerals, spending a lot of that, of course, resupplying his army, getting some infestors up. We don't have any. There is a drop coming actually here from Fabled. He's going to head across again across this top side of the map. If he can get in there and take out some more of the supply depots. Have we got any left? Yeah, we got a couple left in here in this base. It's quite hilarious how all of the supply depots have kind of moved down to the southern side of the map along with the middle portion. I thought I saw some in the middle there, but there are no more there at the moment. Here's some at the third base, but now the drop commencing here from Fabled. He's going to run through this base, probably will be able to take out that orbital command. A little bit unfortunate for MLG, not able to protect that one, but if he can actually get in here and take out some of these production capabilities here for MLG, he'll be in a really good spot. And now another drop, a secondary drop, beautiful double prong drop here from Fabled, and a huge fungal on those bio units there. And now with these medevacs with a very low amount of energy, he's not going to be able to heal them up. And Fabled now just absolutely running wild through this particular base here up the top, and he's going to take out all of those production facilities, taking out those factories. I think those were the only factories that MLG had. He's now down to racks and those starports which he had, and now we can see that MLG is having a bit of a hard time rebuilding those supply depots, building them down here at the natural, which ironically is actually going to clog up his path up into the main base here. But he is eventually going to get up there and will stop it just in time. But as we said, now the production capabilities of MLG have been put into a very, very sad looking position. Now deciding that it's time to build up a whole heap of racks, may just head for a big bio combo. But another drop is now coming in here from Fabled. He's going to drop in a couple of infestors along with some Lings. These Lings, of course, with their 3-3 do a lot of damage there. 8 damage only, but it is all at 0.05 per second. So he's now coming in here, some one lonely siege tank trying to provide the last line of defense for these SCVs, and they do survive for the time being. But this base is getting absolutely mutilated here by the Infestor Ling combo, which has just been dropped consistently by Fabled, doing a fantastic job of keeping his opponent on his toes, making him run around the map with his Marine Marauder medevac combo, along with those few tanks that are there, and a couple of ghosts are still alive, interestingly. But he's just doing an amazing job of just running around the map, making sure that MLG is not able to have a moment to breathe. And speaking of another moment to breathe, another Rax goes down, another supply depot, and we could even see these ones down here at this part of the base going down as well. Let's keep an eye on where these Overlords go. They've got a few Lings in there as well, but just a brilliant play here from Fabled. He's sitting in such an amazing position. Want to see him take this base up here just to make sure he cemented this victory, which I would assume is incoming. But of course we can't count out the fact that there is this massive bio army from MLG. If he perhaps decides to just say, screw it, I'm going to push anyway, I don't care, he may be able to do some heavy damage to the Zerg economy and perhaps come back and make a massive fight back here. But I just am not sure if we're going to see it here. But MLG is just trying to do his best to sweep around the map and take out these units everywhere, but he is now taking out some of his own units there with that siege tank splash fire. But now a drop that these Lings are still going to town on these supply depots here. Once these go down, MLG is going to be in quite an ugly position here, not going to be able to resupply, and I would say we will probably see a whole heap of, no, it's actually Ultralisk here from Fabled. This is probably going to be one of the final pushes. Depending on how he pushes, he will be able to just run through with those Ultralisks and be able to just chew through this entire army here. Obviously, with all of these medevacs have very low energy. Look at all of those just in the mix there. They're quite low. In fact, most of them don't actually have any energy. They've spent all of their time actually healing all of these bio units, and now here comes the push couple of neural parasites go down, taking some of those tanks. If he can focus fire the tanks on the groups of the Bio, he will be able to do a good amount of damage there, but not able to. EMPs and the Bio Force sweeps through with Stim, but look at all of that. These Bio Forces are quite low. Just want to see about a bajillion Banelings coming out from Fabled, and then he will definitely win this game quite convincingly. But we're just waiting to see something like that, or perhaps some expertly placed Baneling mines in the middle of the map to make sure he can blow them up on the Bio Forces. But here comes the push from Fabled. He's got a few Infestors in the mix here. If he can put down some Fungals on these Bio Forces, he will be able to jump in there with the Octolith and just stomp through everything that is there. And now we can see that MLG is trying to clean up this last base here, but more and more Octoliths are now popping out. A Queen is going to try and have a fight here. Not going to last too long. Puts down a Transfuse. There goes the Fungal. Not actually the best Fungal, but he will be able to perhaps come through and do another one, but he's not prepared just yet. Switching into mass Infestors. Look at all these Infestors here. He's going to be able to just plonk down some Fungals on all of these groups here. Doing a good job. He's taken out some of those, and now Fabled is in a really good spot. Once these medevacs go down, he will be able to just he can just pretty much just run through, because those Bio units will all die in about half a second because they're all quite low. Now looking at the mining here for Fabled, he's currently sitting on this base only, along with this one as well. Not actually getting any more gas, actually. Is that no gas at all? Okay, he's getting gas from this particular base, and that is it. So he's going to need to be very careful with his units, I would say, from now on. He's going to need to use them a little bit more efficiently there. But here come the infested Terrans being plonked up on top of that base there. Going to use them to push through in this base. If he can take out these factories, he'll be in a really good spot. But now another push coming through here from MLG. Running into that 5th base there. He's not going to be able to take it out because he's got these units on such low health and doesn't want to lose them to a big fungal growth if Fabled can pull one out. But there goes some of the infested Terrans. They're not actually getting too much done. But there is one Ling inside this base, and this one hero Ling will probably be able to take out this orbital command, or MLG has not noticed, and is probably going to lose this unless this one SCV comes along. No, the SCVs are not going to repair, but the siege tanks have decided to switch up there. Here comes the big attack from Fabled in the middle of the map. These units are still a little bit low here. The medevacs have not had enough time to heal them up. Ironically, the infested Terrans that Fabled put down have actually blocked out some of those Octoliths, but the Octoliths are still running rampant through the middle here, cleaning up a lot of those Bio Forces. The Bio will eventually survive and take out all of those units, but just not enough production capability here for MLG. I think this may be the end if he uses some of these Infestors that he's got set up here. Fabled will be able to push through the rest of this force, but it's really coming to the part of the game in the late game of StarCraft 2 where you have to just be really careful with your units and just make sure you're not wasting any of them. Of course, we do have a lot of Lings now here for Fabled. He's going to be able to just run through. He perhaps may want to look at taking this base, perhaps, or he may just look to try and finish off the game. But these Infestors sitting in here in the middle of the map, MLG is not aware at all. Here come the Infestors. Beautiful placement of those Infested Terrans. They're blocking off the backside of the retreat path of those units, now actually just cleaning up everything, and that could be it, folks. We have just seen a beautiful wall off with those Infested Terrans. That was absolutely fantastic there by Fabled, and now rolling in with some Banelings. This could be the end, picking up those leftover Bio Forces. Fungal growth going down on the group of medevacs there, and that is going to be the end of those medevacs for now, and more Infestors now sweeping in. Of course, late game, you really want to look at, whoa, huge attack there on those SCVs, but and that actually probably puts the nail in the coffin. Here come more Infested Terrans. They're just jumping out there, and there is the GG. Fantastic game between these two players there. Some really great strategical moves there by Fabled, doing multi-pronged drops across the top and the southern part of the map, and then just switching into late game with a lot of Infestors. Of course, late game, you really want to look, as I was saying, being really, you want to be really careful with how you use your units, and of course, units that have energy are a little bit more efficient in the later game because you can use them to attack, and it only costs you energy instead of using minerals in the cost form of units. So a really good switch there from FabledIntegral, and he's done a great job. And of course, MLG, unfortunately, just losing all sorts of supply depots. As we can see, this whole section of the map was actually filled up with supply depots, so he actually lost all of those and then lost the production capabilities, and then that was pretty much the game from there. So we will jump into game number 2. Go get yourself a drink, go head to the toilet, because everyone is probably going to need it after that long game. and I will see you guys in that next one. Cheers.